Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share my full review, the digitally digested segment, for the Samsung Spin 7. Now, this Ultrabook has been on the market for a while, and it's still a premium device in my opinion, even though it may not reflect much of the modernization of Ultrabooks here in 2020. It's still available at Best Buy, and if you're fortunate enough on sale, you probably can find this on any given day for around $600 US, which is fairly good price for getting a reputable manufacturer, in my opinion, with Samsung, and overall solid build quality. You have a full HD touchscreen here, which I think is better than the majority, again, of budget-friendly Ultrabooks. The Core i5 8th Gen processor is completely competent, 8 gigs of RAM and a ½ terabyte SSD, and all of those things perform as expected. You also get solid battery life, I would say good, not amazing, backlit keyboard, a very good trackpad here. The display is high gloss. I wish it wasn't, but this is very common. And yes, it has a lot of bezel, as I just mentioned. It's not in line with design cues for 2020. We do have a webcam top center. We have a fingerprint scanner for biometrics on the side of the machine. So even though it's been around for several years, it's still completely competent. It weighs a little over 3 pounds. And again, battery life keeps it in the realm of what you would expect even from budget-friendly machines here in 2020. But at least you're getting Samsung. I like the build quality, plastic with what feels like, it may all be plastic, but I think the back might have some metal in there, but don't quote me because, this is something that, again, I wanted to share with everyone because I think it is something worth a look if you're looking for something budget friendly. On the right side of the machine, you have your fingerprint scanner, a Type A USB port. On the left side, you have something you don't see that much of anymore, a full-size HDMI port, another Type A port, and a Type C port, which is good for connectivity, power delivery, but that's it. This is not Thunderbolt, and you do have a headphone jack. Traditional pin connector. I do like that Samsung keeps their power brick very small on this machine. And I think design overall, like what you're looking at here, it's just a nice looking machine. A lot of budget-friendly machines are frankly really ugly. This is not one of them. So between its weight, its price point, battery life, screen quality, I think they've got a good thing going here even 2 years after they originally launched. Is it hard for this to compete with something like the Lenovo C740? Yes, I would pick the Lenovo C740 every day, every time. But if this is less, which it likely will be, and budget is your primary, there's no reason not to consider the Samsung because you will save some money, and in the process, you're still not getting a poorly made machine. In fact, I think a lot of people could make the argument that Samsung makes a better product than Lenovo, but that depends case by case. So whether we're talking about photo editing, video editing, you can do all of those things on this machine. It's not going to be ideal. Remember, it's an 8th Gen Core i5 processor. It's not a powerhouse. This isn't for gaming. But if you're a student or someone that wants something for content consumption, this will do the trick. Of course, web surfing, Microsoft Office, you're not going to have any problems. And again, battery life is one thing this gets right. It doesn't get very hot. That's another good thing. Can get loud, but not overwhelmingly, not like a lot of competing products. Let's go ahead and open up a web browser. I'll show you some video playback because already I've pretty much addressed everything that I wanted to in terms of, let's get rid of that, main areas of focus. Because I think those are the things that most of you are trying to figure out when basically vetting a new PC. So let's go ahead and take a look at some I'll throw up some 4K video, or I could even go to 8K HDR. Of course, this isn't 8K or HDR, but still, it'll serve the purpose of what I'm trying to demonstrate. And again, I don't think that you'll go wrong with this machine, but it would not be my top recommendation. So right now, we are at 4K. No, we're not. Excuse me. I will bump it up. Speaker performance, by the way, is very good, surprisingly good, again, for an Ultrabook. But Samsung tends to get these things right. Get rid of that. And so this is at 4K. And I really have no complaints about what Samsung has put together here. Again, think about this, budget friendly. If you can get this for under 600 US, what are you really going to complain about? I mean, it doesn't have Windows Hello, but hello, that's not a necessity. And guess what? Even top of the line machines like the Lenovo C940 2-in-1 do not have Windows Hello built in. So I don't see that in any way being a game breaker. Go ahead to another website. Let's check out some news. Big day for coronavirus. So check out CNN, then I'll go to Fox News. Scrolling is fine. Pinch to zoom is perfectly crisp. And I do believe that the screen quality on this machine is one of the big advantages that it has over much of the competition. When you look at, I actually think it's better than the majority. Trump may have coronavirus at the rate we're going. But again, performance very good in spite of what's on the display. I like what Samsung has done here a lot. Now, I'm not gonna, I was thinking about doing a direct comparison to as I mentioned, the Lenovo C740, because I think they are direct competitors. I will bring over the 740, but at the end of the day, I don't really see the 740 as, I already said it, I would take the 740 over this machine all day long. You know, I'm not going to compare something like the HP Spectre X360 13T that is my daily driver, because it's simply in another class. You know, you're going to be spending a lot more to get a machine like that. Here I have the mentioned Yoga. And look, the design of the Yoga is not for everyone, but I personally think that having a modern look and feel, you see that bezel, how narrow it is. You have a way to block the webcam. Not that that's critical, but it doesn't exist here. Speaker performance is about a wash on these two machines. And I can go a little bit wider so you can actually see them side by side, even though I'm not powering this thing up. And yes, you are getting a 14-inch display versus a 13.3, which is nice if you need it. There they are side by side. Again, I will pick the Lenovo all day long, every day. It's the more modern machine. It has the newer processor, but we're still dealing with 8 gigs of RAM and actually a smaller SSD in the C740 than we have here. And they're both 2-in-1s, so they both do tent mode, in case that wasn't clear. Very easy to do that, and it works. You know, neither has Thunderbolt 3, and because they're both budget-oriented, I do feel they are a warranted comparison. But again, generally speaking, on any given day, the C740 will be more expensive, and for good reason. It's a 2020 product, pretty much. I mean, 2019 launch, but fourth quarter 2019. So you're looking at a machine that really is, in my opinion, again, a 2020 piece of hardware. Also, build quality here I think is great. You know, you have that unibody type construction. Samsung, the plastic is good, but it's really good for a budget machine. And I don't see it being that good when compared to the C740. So even though this is a review specifically of the Sammy, I had said I would end up comparing them, and now I did, at least in the form of this review. And I think that it's fairly obvious that I would pick the Yoga. I'd recommend the Yoga time and time again. It's just a more full-featured machine, more modern machine, and you know, battery life on these two is pretty much a wash. So why not have closer to the latest and greatest, unless you absolutely are in love with Samsung and absolutely hate Lenovo, which, by the way, there are plenty of you out there that do. But they're similar with regard to weight, they're similar with regard to size, battery life, and overall performance. So it ultimately comes down to, I guess, brand preference and whether or not you do appreciate the more modern design language that the Yoga brings to the table. Port selection, a little bit more limited on the Yoga, but, you know, I don't see that as being an issue. Maybe you could sum that up to cleaner lines. And the Yoga is charged by a Type-C charger, whereas we have a pin style charger for the Sammy. Neither of these can be upgraded in any way, shape, or form, so don't even begin to go down that road mentally. It's not going to happen. But that pretty much rounds things out. Again, the Samsung Spin 7 is still a legitimate Ultrabook, budget Ultrabook here in 2020 that I think deserves consideration. But if you can spring for the difference, which may be $100 to $200 more for the Yoga, all day, every day. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.